Boxing has been around for many, many years, over 2,000 years at this point. It took a long while until we finally started using gloves for boxing. And it took a little bit longer until somebody like Ozhan came around and gave boxing gloves a much owed revolution. Ozhan, founder of Hit and Move, thank you so much for being here today.
No problem.
Thank you for having me in your office. This is a really nice space. And
Welcome.
before we go into more depth of what your brand is, there are so many things that actually encompass what Hit and Move is, because you yourself are a pharmaceutical expert on the industry. You're a boxing coach. You've sparred with the best, even local pros on the area here in Virginia. You've won several leadership awards. How does somebody be able to be all of that and still manage a company, a boxing company to be more specific?
Francisco, thank you so much for coming, by the way. It's actually an honor to host you here. I've been watching your content on social media too, so you're amazing. To answer your question best, I think it's the team. And we are very fortunate to have a wonderful team, and everybody are the expert in the team. Elena is the expert in the PR, organizational psychology. She's a master. Dr. Turker Bıyıklı, he is the guy in Europe. When you talk about sports medicine, when you talk about performance, athletic performance, England, Spain, even United States recognizes him as also being the head of NASM in Turkey. So anybody is getting NASM certification in Turkey has to go through Turker Bıyıklı's testing. So he's also in our team. So we have best of the best in our team, and also we have sub-team where we have coaches and boxers, and also local boxers. And the final thing is the love. Everyone is working with or for Hit and Move, in love with the brand. So our sub-team, which is the, Jeffrey Yu, Coach Gustavo, my coach Scuba, Jalil, Coach Bruce Babajan, and all these people are here just to test the products and, give a great feedback. So I think that's the reason why having a great team really helps. So I always don't have to do everything.
So when we say Hit and Move is how many? 8 letters. There's a lot of people, great people behind the name, actually.
Yes.
So you are famous for glove manufacturing. It's a very established industry in boxing, which is fundamental for the sport itself. Here with us, you brought 3 products. We'll talk about that one in a little bit. But I want to actually start talking with something that I think everybody's going to be very familiar with. It's the boxing gloves.
Okay.
It's my first time trying this glove, and I like it. And I'm not gonna lie to you. These are 16 ounces, by the way. Pretty small, actually. Really compact. I really like it. Mm-hmm. Hand compartment, it's not. So, why did you start making gloves?
Why did I start making gloves? It's actually a progress. Francisco, you're also a boxer.
Kinda. I have my days.
we never are greatest boxer, right? It's because that's why I love boxing, actually, because you always learn. You're never good at boxing, and that's why boxing keeps you in boxing. That's what I love about it, because anyone can humble you. There's always more. So you're a boxer too. When you box, you start learning different levels. Better training, better coach, better midwork, right?
Yeah.
Better bags. Even everything started to basically, you're becoming pickier and pickier in your selections. And then gloves. As you learn more, you want to do things better. So the ergonomics comes into factors. So you start thinking, how I can counter faster, or when I punch, I want to just goes like a bullet. So I was at that level. I came to a level that I, of course, use all the gloves, and thank God I had access to any gloves that I wanted in my life. But there was something missing for me personally. There's great glove companies out there. I'm not saying all the gloves were bad and we had to do better. No, that's not something like that. Literally, it started for me. So I made a custom glove for myself. I actually took apart the dart. You throw a dart.
Yeah.
I took apart every piece of it and put it on the sensitive scale. And I kind of get a ratio idea of it. And then I also compare it to the bone ratio when you do a fist. I kind of know the bones and everything from here because I've been working in the orthopedic space with a lot of great orthopedic surgeons. I consulted them too, and I'm like, hey, how can I distribute the weight in a boxing glove where when I punch, it's a perfect throw. So the glove doesn't take my hand down, so it's not a top heavy,
Yeah.
it's not a wrist heavy, and it just feels like you just throw, don't think, because that's actually the key in boxing. So I made a custom glove. The first person, and I'm going to call his name here, you probably know him too, Rico.
Oh yeah, Coach
You know,
Rico.
Coach Rico.
I love Coach Rico. He's a great. He's actually the first person I ever saw using your material like in person.
Yes.
And it was with the turtle mitts. I'm like,
Yes.
what is this? And he was like, this is the next thing in boxing,
He
man.
he was the first person believed in this, actually. So funny. We were practicing in my house in the water bags that I have. And I never forget this, my wife and I gave him my custom gloves to him. He said, I'm using this. He goes, like, let me try this. Are you custom yourself? I'm like, yeah, I'm making it myself right now. It's just for me. That's it. It wasn't
Yeah.
commercialized. So he puts it on. He goes like, ooh, ay, ay. He does something like that.
I know exactly the sound you're
That
referring
reaction is actually in the stories. And when he give that reaction, I'm like, is it that good? He goes like, dude, how much you want for this? Let me take it out of your hands. And he bought it because I had 2 pairs. You know, when you customize, you know, usually because we were customizing with the thing anyway. So that's how everything started. And then after that, I started improving more and more and more and keep making more. We started with, you know, only 2 colors. Now I think we have the most colors in the industry that we offer. But we started only 2 colors, like black and red or white or something like that. And then the second person, I really love these reviewers. Like, you know, there's honest reviewers like that C squared, Fit to Box, Coach Simon. Coach Simon has been amazing help for me because he's super honest. He's like the teacher that I always was scared of. What if I failed his class?
Yeah.
So I send him a glove and he always says this to you. He goes like, send me a glove and don't tell me anything. Don't try to sell him. So because he has his rules. So you send him the glove and then you can't communicate with him. He actually does his test, same as Carlo does a similar thing. And then he says to, hey, if it's shit, I'll tell the world. If it's good, I'll tell the world.
It was a gamble for you.
It's a gamble, but I mean, after having so many people in locally telling me these are really good, and I had the courage, so I did send it to them and the Coach All Combat Corporation, that boxing guy from Canada, you know, Coach Badua. So they all gave the same feedback. Like Carlos said, he's great. Coach Simon is great. Like all of them are saying good things. So I started to believe in it more. So I kept digging in more, tweaking a couple of different things because you can never come up with the first best.
Yeah.
So then here we are, I guess. So it's all people. That's what I'm saying. In our conversation, when I mentioned to you, we were talking when you came first, is really when you have noble action, maximum action, and actually honest action, I feel like really God finds you good people to help you. So that's what happened. That's how we started.
And I have to say that you've gone far. I've been wearing this glove for like solely 2 or 3 minutes. First thing I'm noticing is actually what you mentioned about the weight distribution. I'm very picky about my gloves. I don't like a glove that you can feel the weight, or like the 16 ounces on the end of the glove, because then my hand tilts down. But another thing that I always look for on a glove is actually wrist support. It happens to me, I have laces. I have a pair of gloves that use the lace system that I use for sparring, because lace system, they give you like more wrist support.
Yeah.
These are not tied, and for the love of me, I cannot bend my hand backwards. Like
You shouldn't.
you shouldn't be.
Right.
But unfortunately, something that you find with a lot of lace-up gloves, I feel that the way, it's evenly distributed. Hand compartment feels nice. The quality of the leather is amazing. Like I've been looking, I cannot find a single scarring in the leather. It's feeling great. Now I have to say, I've been punched with this before on a sparring session on my gym under Coach Rami. And I was like, those gloves look nice, and the guy he's moving fast with the gloves, and I'm actually like, he's making me look bad. I'm starting to think maybe it was the gloves. Not gonna lie to you. I'm
No,
thinking,
no, it's never the gloves. No, no. Gloves will actually, there's no glove, or we don't make things that will give advantage to one boxer over another. It's just the feeling of it. I think this is a very psychological sports.
it
You
is.
know it. And even when you're shadow boxing, your head must be in the right place. When you're sparring, if you panic, things don't go well for you. When you're tired, you have to calm down and throw, or don't show. We have a lot of mental
Yeah.
games in this one, and people watching it also know it. One of my idea was actually here is that when I'm so tired, let's say we're at the round 8 sparring, and you're tired, and you know when you're tired,
Yeah.
and you have to work off your jab, you have to show your opponent that you're not tired right now. The only thing you have to be focusing at that point is not winding your punches or not putting muscle behind it, because it's going to destroy you even further. So you just have to throw things like let's
Yeah.
just throw.
Keep
So
them
right
busy.
there, you don't want to even like clinch, because even the clinch,
It's a giveaway.
it's actually effort. It can tire
Yeah.
you further and further and further. So honestly, like, just throw the glove, let the glove do the work. Just like throw. So it has to be, especially if you're throwing, your form also gives the clues to your opponent how tired you are. I can
100% agree.
tell if my opponent is tired by how his punch is coming now. If he's opening up, winding, okay, you're tired because you're trying harder now. I know. But if he's coming like this. So honestly, I think it's a psychology behind it. Once you feel what you felt ergonomically, perfect weight distribution, now you know if you just throw it, it protects you. You don't have to think. You don't have to, squeeze your wrist a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't have to do nothing. Glove does all that for you. All you have to do is just box.
Something that I'm also really liking about this glove, it's usually this part in gloves. I've found that for me, it's key in order to be able to make a good fist. This one naturally is like my hand is curled like pretty
Correct.
much like that inside of the glove. The lining inside feels amazing. Like
Silk,
it,
yeah.
it's silk.
We're actually using a material that in Turkey they use it for scarves.
Okay.
It's kind of like a cooling feeling scarf, because a lot of women in Turkey, in my country, they do wear scarves too.
Yeah.
Some of them do, some of them not. And anyway, in the hot days, you have to wear a really nice, good material scarf so it doesn't feel hot. So I took that idea actually and implemented inside. So that's a very easy. It's been already there. Like, it's not something we found.
It is wild to me because my problem is when I'm making a fist, I know it's probably a mistake on my end, but I like to make a fist like I'm pulling a trigger of a weird gun. I initiate my fist like that. In this case, I feel like that pocket is actually helping me because there is room here for making the fist. I'm actually really liking this glove. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's my first time. I've been hit with hit and move before, but it's my first time being on the other end of wearing it, so it feels nice.
Yes.
My question to you is, boxing. It's a sport about heart, passion. How do you find the room to innovate into a space that it's very traditional? Because we don't see all the bells and whistles in boxing that you see. For example, the companies like Peloton, they took the static bag and they made it with AI, whatever capabilities. Innovation in boxing is different.
Right.
How are you achieving that?
Great question, actually. It is something we always talk about in the meetings too. Sports of boxing isn't like biking or isn't like football. Football is about statistics, and the coaches are very interested in measuring every single aspect. It is a very data-driven sports. Baseball, very data-driven sports. They want to measure how fast the ball goes, how you swing and everything. Boxing, and I think this is me being in boxing, practicing boxing, I think it helped us because I understood from personally my experience and the coaches that I'm working with, the best of the best, like for example, Calvin Ford. Coach Calvin Ford, he wouldn't be interested in counting because he is the data.
Yeah.
He is the data. Him and Kenny, like if they are watching their fighters sparring, they already have the data. It's here. So I think it's almost in boxing distraction to put too much technology. So it is a very fine line to innovate something new like we've been doing by still staying traditional. And that's what I think Hit and Move really achieved without making huge drastic changes where the boxers are going to feel like, oh, I don't want to have advantage over my opponent, because
Yeah.
I wouldn't like to wear a glove that will give me super advantage over my partner. I don't want that. Or, I don't want to have a headgear that will completely make me feel nothing while my opponent is feeling something. No,
Yeah.
you're going to feel something. It is boxing. It's just, can you feel a little bit better, or can you move better? Can we add a little bit of an aspect that's within you, but not giving you that?
Yeah.
So that's actually, in my opinion, the fine line. Yes, we innovate, but you have to really find the sweet spot of innovating enough that boxers are going to accept that and coaches are going to accept that. Because it's not about just innovating for boxers. Coaches have to be involved too. And I think coaches are the most important part of this whole thing, in my opinion.
I agree with you, and you can actually see with your line of product, you have your turtle mitts. We have here,
Yes.
you show it to me here in your office, this new seal that you're working on.
Phase one.
Phase one.
Not ready yet.
And I think that as a brand, I feel like you're probably the first brand that I see that gets involved with as fighters as much with coaches, because you go into other like big box retail boxing brand. Yeah, you have a selection of 40 gloves, different models, different colors, but one or two pair of mitts that are usually flawed. Like they don't protect the fingers of the coach that much, or it's a design that hasn't been improved in 50 years. And we see on the background the turtle mitts, and you're putting coaches first. You're involving coaches in the whole development.
Yes.
And I think that it's actually, and you have to correct me on this if I'm right or wrong.
Right.
It's the technology of your turtle mitts what led to this piece of gear I have today. This is your new headgear.
Correct.
Somebody of you may have seen it in certain heavyweight champion legend wearing this for a training camp. So this is, correct me, this is the
Air armor.
Air armor.
Precision.
Precision.
Right.
How long has it been in the market? And actually, it's something that I like about this, and it's something that I really like of Hidden Move as a company. There's a lot of science behind this.
There is.
There's a lot of science behind this.
There is. We didn't just put, great question. A lot of people, when they look at it, they think, is it like turtle mitts? It's absolutely not like turtle mitts. What we've done here is, first of all, let me tell you the story and give a credit to who actually started the whole thing. So Coach Bruce Babajan, who is the coach of Dusty Hernandez. You know Dusty?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Coach Babajan and I were really good friends. And he called me one day and said, Ozzy, I am really bothered because for the 50, 60 years, all the sports helmet technology is increasing, nothing in boxing. All this bulky shit, that's how he said it. This is language. I don't like that. We need to make something light and slimmer. That's what he actually said to me. And he said, I have an idea, but there's nobody to execute it. I don't want to tell anyone, and I think you can make it happen. So he gave me an idea, and then we started with that. Of course, the first model, it took us 3.5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we had this conversation 4 years ago from today. It was 2021. In the beginning of 2021, we had this conversation. And then we actually failed so much until we got to perfection. Because the first design he had, honestly, again, innovating is a very fine line.
Yeah.
You can make something innovative, but if it looks super goofy, people are not going to like it. And so we had the technology. What I knew what it needed to be done is this. When the impact comes in, impact usually comes in and permeates. That's the science of an impact. Nobody can argue with me with this one. I know what I'm talking about. Sometimes I see comments that my team shows me, what do you say to them? Nothing. This guy doesn't know what they're talking about. They need to have the same education to talk to me, and unfortunately there's not. So impact comes in, and if there's a surface, it permeates, okay? So hits and permeates. So the first point is really important. So we smaller that first point. And then the permeation needs to be blocked. And we blocked it with air holes. We created air holes in between the pattern that we created as a proprietary. The outside shape is actually a very interesting story. So in the outside shape, we will have done it with so many different variations. And all of them actually failed. If we didn't like it, some of them really didn't cover the areas it was supposed to. because also you have the anatomical aspect of it, right? We have Turkar Bıyıklı. If you don't make it right, Turkar Bıyıklı is going to tell you that that's not good, you know?
Yeah.
So Coach Simon, again, I'm going to give him credit. Coach Simon knew the whole development of this. Like 3.5 years, I've been showing him, you know, and I tell him, like, hey man, like we failed it because phase 2 was really difficult for us. And then he said, why don't you use your turtle pattern? Because it belongs to you. It's a proprietary. Use it in there if you can do something. So we did a little bit of a change and we used, it looks very similar, but it's not turtle. It's not the same technology. So finally we got there.
I have to say, that's why I'm wearing this. It's very light. It feels in my hands. It feels
Hit
really
yourself
light.
and see if you feel.
I mean, off camera, he's been hating me, and for real. And it actually, and I have my own headgear here. I'm not gonna show it in camera because it doesn't fit the case right now. I could feel less of a echo on the head, let's call it like that, of resonance in it, and I'm still able with this one. I am seeing like
You don't feel the propagation of it, like
I
you
don't feel how it propagates.
Yeah.
I'm able to see my boxing style. I call it big boy boxing because I'm a big guy, right? I'm not gonna be moving around like Lomachenko or nobody. I like walking, and my problem with my headgear is if I'm shadow boxing like that, then because of my headgear, it becomes that opens the liver shot, the spleen shot. This keeps it more realistic to a real boxing fight,
Right.
and it feels extremely, extremely light.
Yeah, you will still feel the hurt. Like another thing people argue sometimes. Actually, by the way, this is a bestseller. We broke records. I can tell. Yeah,
Really?
we sold thousands.
Congratulations.
I didn't look at it, but last time at the end of 2024, when we looked at it, I believe this is the most successful boxing gear launch in the history right now.
It is
And
innovation.
the feedback we're getting is wonderful. And when we went to Virginia Tech, and that's another thing a lot of people are wondering, you know, what did you guys did in the Virginia Tech? And it was very good testing. So we took literally a football helmet testing methods, and we applied to this one by actually using a padding pendulum.
Yeah.
And we had 3 different energy levels, which was the regular jab, stiff jab, and a cross. And we applied that energy levels into the temple, head, and the chin. And we compared this to the industry of other. First of all, I'll tell you this. Wearing headgear is good for you.
Yeah.
If anyone out there on the internet, you know what's really bad? When wrong information becomes popular. Wrong information becomes popular within the people who don't have, unfortunately, the education behind it. It becomes a believable information, which is very bad. Yeah, the ABAI said like headgear, wearing headgear is not good. It wasn't because of that. There's a different reason. I don't want to talk about it, why they didn't want headgears in their amateur events, but that's headgear is better than not wearing headgear, because we've seen that, because we also tested pendulum hitting straight to the sensor head without any headgear, and then with all the headgears in the market, including this, they all reduced to combined accumulated concussion rates. Okay, so that's, nobody can argue about this one. People usually says like, hey, why are you not sharing your data? Our data is so many like numbers and decimals. Virginia Tech does not allow companies to publish the data on their own, because there could be a lot of cherry picking.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Let's say in the head, let's say we got 0.15% protection. And then the other brand, let's say 0.18 or 19, okay? Now, if we were having the data and ability to publish it, you can manipulate this data and say 30% better protection.
Yeah, exactly. But
you see? But actually, in the science, those are same safety zones. It's called negligible differences. Negligible difference means it doesn't mean anything. So people, PhDs or the doctors, know how to read a research paper. But unfortunately, if you haven't read a research paper or trained about it, it's really hard. So we don't want people to make assumptions. So we were only obliged to go with the verbiage that Virginia Tech gives you. Like FDA gives a drug. I'm approving you, and this is your claim. You cannot go
You're
out of
gonna
this.
change it.
You cannot go out of this. That's going to be, and then same thing with Virginia Tech. When Virginia Tech said, they emailed us, it took them 2 weeks to really go through the data. They emailed us, congratulations, we found this is safe, and we'll show you the data. You can share with your stakeholders, and this is your verbiage. Slimmer, lighter, comparable, protection. Comparable means right there in the same level. So this headgear is not giving you less pain over any other headgear, but having that light structure and slim is an advantage in boxing, and it should be that way because it's the realistic simulation to a fight. And like you also said, you're holding your hands like that, right? Constantly, you say pop, 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 like you go pop, pop. So if your headgear is big, like that one over there,
It is big.
now,
it is
now
big.
also psychologically, now you're trusting your headgear. You have the illusion of
safety.
So that's really not good. So that actually this one is a better model, and also I am behind it. Like you know me, I'm sparring around. Have you seen me sparring with another headgear?
No.
Even when if it's on camera, I am always wearing this.
Yeah.
I am not stupid to put my brain in a bad situation. I am always sparring with this headgear, and probably I sparred over 500 rounds right now.
And we have to say that every product goes through a lot of testing, and that brings us to the shield that we're talking about.
Right.
This is a phase one.
Phase one
product. How many phases or how many times do you test your product? What is the testing cycle? Because I know for a fact that you have involved like doctors. You have several steps. So walk me a little bit through that.
So I am a big believer of how the pharmaceutical drugs comes to market. I actually like that a lot, even though it's not the same comparable thing. Phase one, phase two, phase three. That's how drugs are actually studied, right? So in the first phase one, in normal drug world, it will be just a computation of a molecule. Like, does the molecule make sense? Is it viable? And then you may go for like the PK testings and all that in the phase two. What I did, we tweaked it into our company. We said, why? Like, since I am pharmaceutical manager, and I'm like, why don't we apply the same thing into our testing? So phase one is usually me, an immediate hit and move team with the people that I'm really close with, like Coach Gustavo, Calvin Ford, like the Coach Patrice Harris. The people are very honest and want the company to be successful. Josh Belfort, like he's a coach and a great boxer at the same time. Like it's amazing. Like I've never had a guy like that, like who can box and also hold the mitts perfectly. Like it's really good. So he tested it, right? He gave me great feedback. And then Coach Gustavo tested it, but also for him, something wasn't working well. So we're gonna fix it right now. So like, that's why phase one is really important, to really understand the strength and weaknesses of the product. And then when we go into the phase two, so I'm gonna explain the phase two. Phase two is where we have 7 boxers, 7 weeks rule. So we have a sub-team of 7 boxers. Most of them are local. I like to work with people that I love, like Rico, So it will be Rico, it will be people in urban boxing, Kaizen MMA, the Wolf MMA, STB Center. These are great help to us. And we usually send our products to the professionals in these teams. They test it for 7 weeks. They have to really test it for 7 weeks. And then we ask them questions. What is that? We really dig deep. And then we record it all. And we find what is the common strengths, common weaknesses, and then common opportunities. And then we do the final edit again. And then the phase 3 starts. Phase 3 is usually we go to now a little bit bigger, another subdivision where we have 15 people actually that we know. We send them the product at that point and say like, hey, test it, let us know. And then the same 7 people, okay? If we get 89 to 90%, okay, this is perfect. We have a good product. Now it's ready to go. So that's how it is. But for example, headgear, it took 3.5 years. Just in the phase 1, it took 3 years. That's like, but that's a good thing. So we don't just put something in the market because we have an idea. That's actually a big mistake in my opinion. And then again, being in boxing, understanding boxing really helps hit and move, I think.
And we're talking about this before. I like that approach to any product beyond boxing, beyond anything, because you're involving key stakeholders that are gonna be the final users of your product. You're tweaking it, or you're like modifying the product for them, so they also get this sense of ownership within
Yes.
a product, and they understand the good capabilities,
Right.
or why the product is good itself. With that being said, in social media, I mentioned earlier that we saw Mike Tyson getting ready for his fight with Jake Paul, wearing this headgear. We've seen Cambosos using your products. Are you paying these people? What is the strategy, the marketing strategy in that sense for Hit 'em More? Because each day more, I see bigger names using your product. So, how are you approaching them?
No, we don't actually. I am aware that my social media team, Joa and Ty, they're amazing. They tell me sometimes there's always an approach, right, from influencers selling their followers, right? It's like, hey, I have 1 million follower. I deserve a free product. And I'm like, who are you? So that happens a lot, right? No, our rule is not to give anything free because these products are handmade. We handpicked our tailors, their hard work, and all this testing process, it's insult to my team, and everybody has been around and involved in this project to just give it free, just to someone they have. No, if I know them personally, that's a different thing, and I do have great friends like that. My thing for the people that you said, it's all organic. You can't, like, I can't go out there and buy Mike Tyson. That's not how it is gonna work. Or George Kambosos, he's a warrior. Like, he doesn't even pick his opponents. You know, he was a champion. He could have actually picked his opponents and hold on to his belt.
Yeah.
No, he took the match with Devin Haney right away when he was really at the prime. And he's a warrior. I love him. He actually brings the 1980s fighting spirits with the like a cool and charismatic promotional aspects of the 2025. And that's George Kambosos for you. It's beautiful. When I see him using our products, I'm like, wow, you can't buy him. He's not going to care. Tank. You know, Tank has been wearing our gloves. Tank is not a guy that you will go and says like, hey, take this money, wear my gloves. He will say, fuck off, dude, and he will probably punch you too, right there. He's not a guy that you can have these type of conversations. Coach Calvin, he's never gonna wear something that doesn't work. You know, like all these people. And what I'm realizing is that makes me really happy because not only there's no sponsorship of those, but they use it all the time. Sometimes I see paid, some companies do pay to certain names. Oh, I'm in the camp with them. Hey, look at this.
You know, but then they walk into the ring with a different brand.
Right, and then you see them sparring with completely different things. Or you see them next day hitting the bags with completely different things, right? And that tells me, okay, you're paying for it. We don't do it. And actually, it's a bigger insult, in my opinion, because the viewers right now, the buyers are really smart. And especially in our client, Intel, our athletes who buy Hit and Move are the ones that actually does a lot of research. They're not stupid. They know what's organic, what's not organic, you know. And also they are not swayed by popularity. You know, just because a boxer is paid to fight in a certain glove, they're not gonna just buy that. And the fight business is a completely different. So what I'm talking about is the training part of it. But when you talk about the fight gloves, like, which we also have, they're all state approved and they're amazing, I know. But the fight business is a very different ball game there. So we're not playing those games there again because that's completely sponsorship. You have to sponsor promoters, the fighters. It's just like a thing that I don't have bandwidth for. I'm in pharmaceuticals. I'm happy. I don't want to deal with unnecessary stretch or fighting in terms of like, hey, you should wear my glove. No, it doesn't matter, because also I'll give an example. There are great brands out there. We don't see them anymore in fights. Why? No, they are still great brands because they don't pay fighters to wear them. It's not, again, so we have some fighters love our gloves and wearing it, like Rashid Ellis fights in that. Jalil Hackett always fights in Hit and Move. Like, there's local fighters always fights in Hit and Move, and they pay for it too. That makes me really happy. I don't care, you know, if a super big name is fighting in my gloves or not. It doesn't matter. And again, our buyers also are not swayed by that either.
Something that I also want to tackle, Well, I have my own gloves there. I have my own headgear.
Yeah.
With my own gloves, I had my personal experience. I'm mesmerized by this product, by the way. I keep holding into it because of how light it is.
I think you're gonna just snatch that from here before you go.
Maybe, maybe not. We'll see how that goes.
He can take that.
Only if I can run faster than him. My gloves that are behind camera, we're not going to show them. They still have it, by the way. They have like when they were dyeing the leather, they left like a big like drop. Like there were some QC issues on mine.
Okay.
And when I called them, this company. They basically told me pretty much to, I'm gonna say fuck off, bro, pretty much. And for me, when I'm buying a product, I'm not only buying the product. I like to buy into the customer service. How are you approaching that customer service for Hit and Move?
Actually, I will say that's one of the most important topic, because when I came to America, my first legit job was I worked for Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Okay, and anyone that worked for Enterprise Rent-A-Car will know there's a management training program, and the most important thing is not profit, it is customer service. And it is so clean that if your branch, and I was a branch manager, if your branch customer service is above good levels, you grow. Okay, and someone that I was with, Jack Taylor, the founder of Enterprise, said this: take care of your customers and take care of your employees, they will take care of you. Like the growth will come. And we believe that from day one. And we have a very unique methodological aspect to it. My brother Sam, a lot of people are texting, messaging with Sam actually. Some spoke with them, some spoke with me. He is actually the overseeing all the customer service, right? And then if he cannot handle something, it comes to me, or if he's on vacation, he's usually in Turkey, by the way. And Jordan, Turkey, he's traveling a lot. So we have a huge eye on the customer service thing, because I am a boxer and I was a very picky chooser. I know when you spend X amount of dollar, the feeling, if that feeling is not initially good, it is my job to make you feel great. No matter what it takes, we will make you happy.
Yeah.
Because that's our approach, I think. And honestly, I am very confident right now. There should be no customers that I didn't know about, not taken care, not helped, and it's easy to reach out to us. We have our phone numbers, direct lines on our website. Like you can call us, text us. Like we actually open those lines. Not that we can immediately get back, but we will get back to this person.
Yeah.
And I think that is a huge differentiator, in my opinion, in what we do Hit and Move. When you buy anything from Hit and Move, you become one of us. We treat you like that sub-testing group that I was talking to you. That is so important for me. Sometimes, is it possible the customer could be wrong? Yes, but it doesn't matter. It's not about you wrong customer, let me show you what you're saying is not a damage. It's not like that. We definitely educate the customer. Sometimes you need to look, what you're seeing is, for example, a letter crack.
Yeah.
A genuine letter should crack. It's a skin, like your skin will crack, it's gonna crack. And that's a compliment, actually. Like, for example, when I buy a leather jacket or leather shoes, if I don't see cracks, actually, it makes me really bothered, because I'm like, is this not real skin?
Is it leather? Yeah.
Is it a panzot? Is it a synthetic mix? For me, I'm looking for that, or I'm looking for that vein lines to come up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the animal's vein shows up sometimes, and it's compliment to me.
Yeah.
So we explain that to customers sometimes if that happens. And if the customer is satisfied, it's great. If not, you know what? We do anything. We actually ask, what can we do to make you completely satisfied? Tell us. And then we connect with them. We talk with them if it's necessary. We want to understand them, and we do everything. And I am sure right now, I'm so confident in my team's customer service approach, and I am involved too, because things gets escalate. And if it gets escalate to me, I always tell them, I'll take care of the customer if it comes to me. So you take care of the customers. Because if it comes to me, what am I going to do? I'm going to take care of them.
Exactly.
What is it? Like, it's okay, because they are my team. They are helping you. So, and in Turkish, customer is your bread and butter. Like, customer is your water and bread.
Yeah.
Without them, you're nothing. So that's actually our approach. And I don't know, how are you hearing about him with customer service?
What I've always heard about hit and move. We've been talking about this off camera. Like, I'm a little bit more on the internet that you are. You're a very busy businessman.
Yeah.
I'm not. So that's that. It is the truth today. I spend a little bit more time on the internet, and I will go to certain forums, and people will be like, "Hey, I just bought this hit and move. Great. I think it came a little scuff, something. Then you follow like what these people are posting online, and they're like, hey, they fixed it right away. Like they send me another pair of gloves, or I send mine, or I'm actually not going to worry about it. Explain it. So that's something that when I'm doing my research for buying my own gloves, that's also what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
When I'm buying gloves online, or actually when I'm buying a lot of things online, I like to do my research. But gloves are personal,
They are.
and you have to feel them. You need that input, and a lot of times, what the big industry or the big box retails, the mistake they made is like, oh yeah, 3 layers of padding, laces, synthetic PU. I was like, okay, but
Great.
that doesn't tell me anything, right?
Right. Great.
And then you go online and to these forums, and you ask for, hey, how is this glove? It's okay. No, but with these gloves in particular, like, there is science behind it, there's data behind it. When people are trying them, they're actually giving like in-depth descriptions so that way when you buy, what I feel is if I had to buy this or to order this online, I will know what to expect. Probably, people see colors different. Probably, like I could tell, yeah, the red is probably not as red as I wanted, but that's like a me thing. I'm a little bit colorblind. But the feel, what I care, that it's what I care the most about in gloves. I think it will be pretty on par with getting the product itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's all about that. And it's all about fairness too. Also, our meetings, my wife Elena always says, let's be fair for the customer. Like whatever is fair. I'll give you one example. And unfortunately, it happened to me. I bought a shoes from a shoe company in boxing. I'm not going to tell you who. And it was really bad. Like that, the lace actually ripped apart while I was just tying normally. And they asked me to return it on my own dime. It's okay. Like, what is it? It's not a big money for me, but the principle.
It is the principle.
I didn't mess up. Why am I going through a hustle? So in the hit and move world, that's not how it is. If we messed up, which I'll give you an example, it happens sometimes. I know Sam tells me, hey, this month we send, instead of Velcro, lace up to some customers, right? And then I'm looking at the notes. How did we fix it? We told the customer, start using the glove. It's okay. We're going to throw it. Or you can keep the glove. It's okay. We will ship you what you ordered. And we will put a return label inside. If you like, you can return. So you wait until your glove comes to you.
But you're still able to train.
Right. Why am I asking you to go? Because we are the one messed up, right? If we mess up, we fix it, And it's, I think, again, it's the fairness. And usually boxing community are really fair. Like these people in boxing, they are fair. They earn hard. And this is a luxury brand, a luxury glove. So it has to be luxury service. You can't just have product not backed by a perfect customer service. And that's really hard. That's why I'm a believer, every product can be copied.
Yeah.
But they cannot copy Hit and Move's customer service. They can't copy this. They can't copy this.
I 100% agree with you. There's one industry leader, it's winning. They make great gloves. And you see how everybody, when every time you see a brand new company of boxing, it ends up being a bad clone of winning. It is interesting, but what a company is at core that cannot be copied. And if I had to define hit and move, what you are at core, I'll say, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're a science-centered company that is putting the customer first, and it's taking the coaches and boxers into consideration when developing the products and going beyond just being a color schematic. It's a technology. It's, and correct me if I'm wrong, if in any of that. With that being said, and for starting wrapping up a little bit the interview, where do you see Hidden Move in the next 5 years? What could we be expecting from Hidden Move? We see new products here, and
Yeah.
by the way, you just launched these, and you're already
Yeah.
working on that. So
Yeah.
there must be a couple more things on your pipeline, I'm assuming.
Right. So strong pipeline. We're already ready for 5 years. We know what exactly we're going to launch. And again, every product has to go through that 3 phases that we talk about. And continuing to make things that wasn't made before. We're never, have you seen a Hit Move product that looks like anything else?
No.
Exactly. And you see a lot of brands out there, they have a tagline in their website, we're revolutionizing boxing. What have you revolutionized?
We're using a new color.
You're just the logo. You just send the logo. And we also own our factory. So Hit Move is not a third party logo. Hey,
so you're like,
here, take my logo PDF and put on your glove. Okay, sir, I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? It's not how it
you're
works.
vertically integrated. You own the whole manufacturing.
We all do manufacture right now. I am the solely owner. There's Hit Move Pakistan right now. I mean, we started different. Of course, we chose our employees. That was a different contract than I did. Again, it's all about business. And then once we really grow, we took the reserves and actually invested in there. So we have a facility, Hit Move Pakistan. So that gives us full control of quality, how fast we launch things, how slow what we launch things. That's why actually you can see so many products that are coming back to back.
Yeah.
Because I'm not answering anybody. So this is a very important aspect. And the 5 years, they should expect that. Another thing is we want to force the industry. I am so happy to see some brands are just like reducing the weight of their current headgear and calling it version 2. That shows me, okay, they know, because I told you this broke records and they are aware of it.
Yeah.
It's okay, let them reduce. It's not about just reducing the weight from the first version. That's not how easy is this, but it's starting to come apart, and they will learn in 5 years. That's not about following the best trends. That's what they've been doing.
We have, as you mentioned, we started to see that all the competitors are starting to cut away in their headgear. You're a big brand. You're making a lot of noise. How does it feel to see that now is the industry the one chasing you to an extent?
It's a very big compliment. And when Coach Bruce and I, we thought about this, dreamed about this 3.5 years ago, we knew this will happen. And we wanted this to happen because we said boxing deserves better. We're not here to hoard something, and that's not possible. We want the change. We want norms to be broken, because there's a lot of misunderstanding. Like we thought the bulkier is better. No, bulky headgear is not better for you, okay? So now people are understanding this. Even unfortunately, some institutions, they have a blueprint, like this much thickness here, PVC here. They are completely wrong, but they made it a rule to make so the industry needs a lot of changes. And I think we started the conversation right now. Like you mentioned, you said some brands took their version 1, cut the weight off, version 2, lighter, slimmer. Good for them. Great. I like that. So that, because they know numbers are speaking. They know Hit Move Precision broke records. It makes me happy because we look where we're going. We're like a racehorse. We don't look what others do. We just keep going. We have a pipeline. We have a vision, and we'll continue to apply that. We have a strategy and the protocols in place. So we're run, again, like a pharmaceutical company. So yeah, they can copy, like I told you, but there's never going to be able to copy our customer service. They're never going to be able to copy the knowledge. They're never going to be able to copy our team. Like, how can you find another Turker Bıyıklı to work for a boxing company? Good luck. Yeah. Good luck. He's the head of NASM in Turkey. Like, and he writes peer reviews. Like, we actually even do peer reviews. So we're basically like going against ourselves. Like, let's say a product passed at phase 3. Now it's on phase 3. Mm-hmm. Goes to Turker Bıyıklı. He has to sign off. If he finds anything ergonomically or anatomically wrong, we stop. So it's basically, I almost like a create authority over the company. It's like, that's why we have this much trust that coming up.
Now for finally wrapping up the interview, what do you ask the boss? I always ask people, uh, fill in the blanks. Boxing is. So for you, boxing is.
Path.
Path.
It's a path that it never ends. You discover new things in this path. You fall in love with this path. You get angry. Sometimes you hate the path, but you keep walking in the path all day. Hit and move all day. Wow, I didn't memorize that. that was completely improvised. But it is. I mean, you feel the same way, right?
It is a path, and I agree with you. I had days in boxing that I came home like, man, I feel like prime Muhammad Ali, like they didn't touch me, and I will always remember my first day of sparring. After the first time I was punched in the face, I cried.
Really?
And I'm a grown man, like I'm a really grown man. And I remember it was this guy, like we get into the ring, he punched me like, shit, what happened? I'm great with a heavy bag. What is this? And I got off the ring, got into the locker room, and my coach walked in and said, "What's up?" And I was crying. I know shit about boxing, man. Well, then put your headgear on and get out. I'm not gonna do it. Get your shit on. Get out. No, I'm having a moment. Man, I told things to my coach that I wouldn't dare to say to him today. He will kill me. But still, I fell in love with boxing. I'm very happy walking down this path. I completely agree with you. And it's not only what you do inside of the ring. It's and I think this is another asset that your company has. It's the people that you get to know along the way. Boxing brings everybody together. You're a businessman, I'm not, but when we get in the ring, we start sparring, we're equal. And there is only
Absolutely.
and there's
Yes.
only you and me.
Absolutely.
There's nothing else around, and that it's a great way of bonding. People usually that are not
Yeah.
into the boxing industry say, "Well, but you're punching each other. How can you like that?" Well,
That's different. Yeah.
it's a different breed.
Yeah. You
And
don't get angry. You even appreciate
of
your
course, yeah.
opponent when he lands you one. You're like, good punch.
Good punch. And
Good one.
to some level, I get to know you, and you get to know me when I'm inside of the sparring ring.
I actually agree with you. You can tell someone's personality through sparring.
A lot. When
Right.
I've sparred with people that haven't had easy background, and you feel it behind that punch when they're like throwing that hook to the body. You're like,
No, I'm talking about even the character.
Yeah.
And you're sparring someone, you know who they are very well. Like, are they egotistics? Are they narcissists? Are they a really nice, humble person? Are they good? Are they, I don't know, they're trying to prove something or they're achieved?
Yeah.
All, honestly, I think it's so real in boxing. People in boxing, in my opinion, like sparring someone tells you so much about that personality, but it has to be long sparring.
my coach from Spain, Coach Tomas, he has this saying that says, "The ring tells no lies, judge and jury at the same time." And we have it
That's
on.
so true.
We have it on the gym in Spain. We have like big like sign like all over because it's exactly what you mentioned.
Yeah.
If you're a cheater, you're gonna cheat in boxing.
Exactly.
If you're brave, you're gonna be brave in the ring. If
Yeah.
you're smart, it's gonna show in the ring.
Exactly.
Circling back to what you said about that boxing is a path. When you first walked into a boxing gym, did you already know what was going to be your boxing path?
Yes, actually, my first coach was Mike Finch in UFC gym in Chicago, and then I moved here. I was coached by Julian Morales, Rico, and then now Coach Josh Belford and Gabel Gustava has been my coach, and also Lorenzo Reed, who was the coach of Jalil, coached me, and then in between I was coached by Calvin Ford and Boogie Harris, like the really nice coaches helped me out, Bruce Babajan. My goal was, my path, I made a SMART goal. You know, SMART goal, like the specific, measurable, attainable, timely, and realistic, right? Woo! So it had to be that way. And my path was, I want to be good enough to spar any pro, anytime. Enough to, not to dominate, but enough to spar with them and give them a good work.
Yeah.
You know, And that I work for that. And I think it's very important for coaches to encourage that. What is your goal thing? Like when someone walks in the boxing gym, in my opinion, they shouldn't be everybody pushed through the same funnel.
Yeah.
And I think that could be very intimidating for some people because not everybody's path will be the same. So there's like a path where you enjoy hitting the bags at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's a path, and people should enjoy that, right? They shouldn't be forced. Oh, when is your next fight? No, let them hit the bag and enjoy the bag, right?
There are people that just work out in boxing for the social aspect of it. That they like being in the
Exactly.
bags and talking to a couple people.
Exactly.
Not everybody that walks into gym has to be a world champion.
Exactly.
You mentioned that to me earlier on, and I think that's a sentiment that is true. And I think that it all boils down to which culture you have on your gym. Do you want people to enjoy boxing? Sure. Do you want to be a competitive boxing? Okay, make sure that you market yourself as that. Be clear about that. So when people walk through the door, they're not surprised and they're not doing.
Right. And I think what we can learn from some martial arts is huge. For example, karate. It's treated, karate community treats it as a martial arts. When they see someone is doing karate moves, right? They don't tell this person, when is your next fight? Oh, you're doing karate, good for you. It's a good sport. So boxing should be perceived more like a martial arts than fight sports. Yes, it's a fight sport. So the other path is, there's, for example, could be a path for someone just to get good at mitts and back. Maybe they're not going to be able to spar because there's a lot of people with medical conditions that doesn't allow them to spar. And why are we asking these people to spar, or why are we discouraging them on social media or other people say, oh, when is your next fight? Let them enjoy. If you don't like it, move on, say not interested.
Yeah.
Don't create a catty comment there. Or it could be a female who had a trauma in a relationship maybe, that if the same abuse happens again, she wants to throw a couple. Maybe that's her path, that she just
Yeah.
wants to learn, right? And then you have fighting era, like fighting path. It's a business. Like fighting is a really difficult business. You have to be on weight. It's sometimes unhealthy. You have to
Yeah.
sell tickets. You have to deal with promoters. You have to deal with so much, and you have to be ready, and you have to be lucky because people are going to dodge you.
Yeah.
How the boxing game right now, unfortunately, like greatest fighters are not always in the stage anymore, unfortunately. So yeah, there's a lot of path, and I think my message here, if I'm even able to speak about this, is let people have their path and enjoy. And I think we should perceive boxing more like a martial arts and support each other instead of pushing each other into the same funnel.
I 100% agree with you. I think that the barrier that we have is, Saturday comes around, to check social media, and there's a big fight going on, and I think that it's the problem that with that in boxing is people see that and they say that's the ultimate goal. I wanna be in the big names. I wanna be in the big pay-per-view shows.
Yeah.
And I think that can be the downfall for some people that don't want to go down that path.
No, and nobody should enter the gym saying I'm going to be world champion either. You gotta earn the right to be able to claim something too first, And again, if you ask any Coach Ronnie was telling me, saying like, "Oh, you know how many people come here world champion and then you don't see them after 18 days." It happens, but again, I think it's everybody's responsibility to really let people enjoy boxing as a martial arts, because in the end, ultimately, it's going to help everybody. Because the more people we attract into boxing, it is more equipment to be sold. It is more ticket to be sold. It is more pay-per-view to be sold. It is more followers.
Yeah.
But if you push people away within 2 weeks from boxing for any reason, whether you forced them to spar when they didn't feel ready, whether you just told them when is your next fight, you have to compete. Some people want to compete. I competed and I wanted to compete. And if you push people out of their will, or if you don't let them enjoy enough to the point they can get good at, and it's their decision, I think we're gonna lose audience and we're gonna lose people from boxing. So I think boxing is a martial arts, and we should appreciate everyone walking their path and let them enjoy their path.
I 100% agree with you. On the note of boxing, like, which boxers are you following right now? Like, what's your go-to fighter to watch?
I do have favorite fighters. Like again, Tank. I really like Tank. Obviously, like he's so good. Like I seen Tank fighting, and actually one of the great fighter I really like, Josh Belfort, my coach. He's a great boxer. Honestly, like
Yeah.
he doesn't even. He's so humble. Like he doesn't know how good he is. He moves like literally like the young pretty boy Floyd. So like I follow him. See, like
Yeah.
I don't care about popularity. I follow people because I love them.
Yeah.
Like I follow Frank Grillo. He's a Hollywood star. He's not a fighter. He can fight. But I follow him and I like him, and he's also using our boxing gloves. And
Yeah,
again, he's not
I
a
saw
guy.
post,
He's not a guy to go to say, "Hey, wear my boxing gloves and we'll pay you." He will say, "Fuck off." He is doing a TV show with Sylvester Stallone. He's done. Like he's doing great things. You can't pay him to wear a glove, but he chooses him move. So that's like a compliment to me. I follow George Kambosos because
Yeah.
again, I told you he brings me the 80s, 1980s spirit. I follow Jalil Hackett because I follow the local fighters, Jeffrey, Omri, Tabish. I follow like Terrell Boyd, the Iron
Yeah.
Soldier. I follow Mario Flores. He's my partner. We sparred a lot. He's no longer fighting, but he was a great fighter. So I follow a lot of people that I know. I think my thing to follow someone, I don't follow popularity. I follow who I know as a person, and I only follow them if I message them, they message me. Otherwise, I don't follow you.
Yeah.
Because why should I follow? Actually, like I
Exactly.
think people shouldn't follow others just to follow, because you should just buy their product. Like, what is the product of a fighter? Is the fight.
Yeah.
And that's why we can argue. A lot of people say like, there's no longer good fights like 80s. Fighters don't fight anymore. You heard them?
Yeah.
Here's why. In 80s and 90s, fighters only connected with their audience through fighting. That was their day. Now, fighters can make money just posting mid-work. Why they should fight, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it is so decentralized right now. Boxing became very decentralized. Every fighter is a promoter on their own. And it's almost like nothing happening anymore because everybody is playing the same path. They have to. You have to go maybe 20-0 or 15-0 to get a good payday.
Yeah.
or a good fight, and then continue your career. Or experience or whatever you call it, it's necessary. But I think it's coming to a clogging point. I think it came right now in a bottleneck because so many people are doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, like when can we watch someone? I always like have a fantasy boxing right now, right? When am I gonna watch this guy and this guy ever? I don't think it's gonna happen. It's not happening. And I think the boxing fans are really patient. But if you look at UFC on the other side,
Their
it's
model
more
is better.
centralized.
Yeah.
See, you have Dana White, right, on the top. So if somebody's in UFC, we know they are good. Every fight is good. Every fight is 50-50. That's why people go scream in UFC. Like we go to public bar in DC sometimes with my friend Brock, owner of Urban Boxing. We watch UFC more actually right now.
Yeah.
We love boxing. He's a boxer. I'm a boxer. He has boxing gyms. But we watch UFC because we don't know the result. It's so beautiful. But right now, if you look at most boxing matches cards, it's 80-20 usually.
It is, and
unfortunately.
I don't like MMA as much as I like boxing because I only like things that I think I'm capable of doing. I can be punched in the face. I don't think I can be kicked on the face. That's why I respect MMA fighters a lot because they do that. But I don't enjoy watching MMA. But something that I have to give a lot of credit to the UFC in particular is somebody loses their zero. They're fighting in 2 months. They don't go into a hole too high. Like they're being paid less than boxers, but their fights happen more frequently.
Right.
And you can be an absolutely lion like Adesanya, and you lost twice in a row, and your legacy is still intact. Whereas in boxing, you lose twice in a row. Anthony Joshua, for example, he lost to Andy Ruiz. Then he lost to Usyk twice, and now people are saying that he's washed, he's done when he's fought. Literally,
see, that's also wrong. I think again, it's the boxing community. We are forcing the boxers to play this game. We are making it too scared to lose. In '80s, it doesn't matter. Mike Tyson lost, Muhammad Ali lost, and they still fought, but they were great. It's okay to lose. You're supposed to lose. You're fighting.
Exactly.
It's like you're walking in the rain and saying, I'm not going to get wet. Like, you should be losing. It's okay
Exactly.
for me. And I think it's changing because also, again, social media, we're so brutal right now. When you lose, oh, you see, you're tested.
You're done.
You're tested. You're not that good. You're exposed. Like, I think people are, I don't know what's going on. And in my opinion, social media hasn't really studied enough, in my opinion, because humanity is using social media for the 9 years.
Yeah.
We don't know the long-term effects, or we don't know the effects that it's providing us. Maybe it's bringing our worst. Because when you're in the keyboard, it's your worst. Like, you just want to say something so hurtful and see what's up. But you wouldn't say that the person face-to-face.
Exactly.
I see that a lot happening. And I think we should really, in my opinion, people really have to think, okay, what are we doing? Like, how are we? If it's your favorite fighter, you should be supporting it. Like, again, George Kambosos' example, that, again, I really liked it when he beat Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah.
That was an amazing match. I still remember. He went for the best of the best right after that. He could have held on to his belt. He didn't do that. And it's okay. See, I follow him, and I will buy every single fight he produces. But if there's a bullshitter fighter that only picking and choosing, I'm not buying. I'm not buying. So, like, we should be smart buyers at the same time.
Yeah.
Or Lomachenko. See, Loma's fights were so good. You know, he didn't get scared. And who cares? Loma's record is not 0. Who cares about that?
Exactly.
People blame Floyd Mayweather for this, and like, oh, Mayweather started this. Mayweather was so good, actually. Like, if you really, really know boxing at a high level, I think you appreciate Floyd, because what he's doing in the ring, like the tactical aspect of it, coming back.
For me, he was able to adapt his boxing style as he was aging. He didn't like start with one style and stuck with it his whole career, because in the beginning of his career, he got a ton of KOs. He was a KO master. If he had to stay and brawl, he would brawl with you. But then he understood, hold up, I don't have that power anymore, but I'm still fast, I can dodge,
Exactly.
I can make you look bad.
I mean, if you look at the match with Canelo Alvarez, like, anytime, and he also controls the round. He knows if he's
The
winning
pacing,
or losing.
it is crazy.
Okay, I gotta get back, and he knows how to get back. Pop, 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 pop. He comes and hits, gets his points, and it's just like, again, it's good to watch. And I think Floyd had that 50-0, and then everybody wanted to follow. But Floyd actually did fight good boxers too.
Yeah.
So at the same time, so I think it was misunderstood a little bit, in my opinion. Now everybody is trying to be Floyd, but you gotta fight someone at the point, because otherwise I'm not gonna follow you. I think we should be really smart followers, because you don't want to positively encourage someone if that fighter is not giving you the fights you're expecting for. So that's my only thinking, you know. But Turkey is gonna be changing it.
Yeah.
So I think I'm really hoping he can become the central. So I think really boxing needs a center authority like UFC in the boxing. And then it's almost like every week there's exciting matches. So that's really will be good.
I've talked to several journalists, and they say that the biggest problem that boxing has is there are too many boxing organisms.
Belts.
There are too many belts. There are belts over belts. You have Mediterranean champion, you have the Intercontinental European champion.
Champions, I know.
Everybody has a belt.
Yeah, I'm master champion. Everybody's champion.
Yeah, sure. If everybody has a belt, what's the worth of it?
I don't believe that's the problem. I think it's okay, in my opinion, because soccer is the same way. Like, there's Champions League, there's the League of Nations, right? I'm a huge soccer fan. And it gives teams to win and get recognition. I think it's exciting. It just makes the match exciting. It's okay. I don't think it's a main problem is decentralization. I think main problem is what makes a boxing match happen. Shouldn't be the negotiation of the two companies.
Yeah.
It's so long, and it could be unfair sometimes, right? It should be a center that puts it's like a video game, right? As you're advancing, you should be beating the bosses with a bigger XP points.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't have 1,000 XP and you're trying to cut the 2. You know, I'm a video gamer too. So it is like that, right? Unfortunately, right now in boxing. Because it's so decentralized. The promoter guy who's being hyped is cutting the little guys, you know, in the RPG. That's what I'm calling it. But if there was a center that now your XP is high, Okay, I want this two guys. You guys top boxers want to see you fighting. It's okay. Let them fight again and again. Like, I think they shouldn't think like, oh, if you lose one fight, we're not going to watch you. No, if as long as you give a good fight, people are always going to watch you. Example, Lomachenko. He lost fights, and again, if he fights today, everyone's going to
tune in.
going to watch it. Or there are some boxers out there calling, for example, Gervonta Davis. Yeah, but what is happening? Maybe they are asking something extremely unfair. You know, oh, then the match doesn't happen. Oh, he's ducking me. But maybe he's not ducking you. Maybe you're asking something unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? Or I don't know. Like, I'm just giving an example. I'm not.
So how do we fix boxing? Because there's cherry picking. There's people fighting, big names fighting small names. How do we fix that?
Number one is, I think we need a centralization because it's super decentralized. Like Bitcoin crypto market, everybody gets a coin, this coin, that coin, Hak2 coin, or whatever, what the fuck. There's a centralized authority is needed to pick the equal XPs, equal experience points, and give us good fights like Dana White does in the UFC. I think that's number one, and I think it's happening. It's in the world. I think there are smarter people than we are. They know that, and they have a bigger stake in boxing matches, right? That's number one. Number two is we need to increase the funnel. As a businessman, you have to always increase the funnel, meaning more audience into boxing. How do you do that? Like we talk about that path, right? Let people choose their path. Is it a sparring path? Is it a training path? Is it just enjoying hitting the bags and mitts path? It is just learning the martial arts part of its path? Or is it a fighting path? Choose your path, enjoy your path, and let other people also should support people in the path, and don't try to push them to one path. When are you fighting again? So it needs to stop. And then finally is, remember I said like boxing is not treated as much as a martial arts it should deserve. It is a martial arts. It's the most oldest martial arts. You told me, right? What was that, BC 400, 4,000? Yeah, it's like amazing. So imagine, I'm working with doctors, for example. I have a dermatologist who is black belt karate. Like he's black belt in karate. Can you say that in boxing?
No.
If you're not competing, you don't have a record. You don't. But I know guys who have 0-0 record, spars with professionals. You know one. And what about like we have another central authority can be created and have the exact requirements. What do you need to go through the levels? I'm talking about belt, but it can be something else, right? Imagine you have like rings, maybe, whatever.
Like and a rank system that it's more accurate.
It shows your martial arts ability, basically. It's nothing to do with the fight. It doesn't say that you're a fighter. But imagine you have a ranking system. You can go to a gym, accredited gym. Let's say X gym actually has that ranking system. Imagine you go to the ring and say like, hey, I want to start from the beginning, from the white level to black level. How can I do that? It's perfect. So that people actually is going to stick into boxing more because there's a clear goal.
And there's a curriculum on like if you want to move to the next level, how to be able to do X, Y, Z.
Exactly. If you want to compete in between while you're going the ranks, yes, do it. Competitions always happen. But if you're not interested in, again, like a dermatologist, why a dermatologist should be fighting, right? If they don't want to. But why he doesn't get really good at their technique, their hits, their counters, like it's like everything in the bag or something like that. So let him get to that level. I think creating something like that will add a lot of audience, and they will become pay-per-view buyers, they will become gear buyers, they will become followers, they will become ticket buyers at the local fights because they're going to be involved in boxing. I think all the things that I just mentioned can really take boxing to the next level.
Ozhan, thank you so much for opening me the doors of your company. Thank you for hosting me here in your office.
You're welcome. Anytime.
I love talking boxing with you. I could be talking with you for hours about boxing. I have a feeling that we could also be talking for hours about video games.
Video games, yes. Assassin's Creed.
I love those games.
Same.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet the man behind the brand.
Thank you so much.
And for the rest of y'all, I'll see you on the next episode of the La Quinta Esquina. Take care.